was to go viral before breakfast. She was late again. The New York subway had decided Monday was the perfect day for technical delays, which meant she had exactly 4 minutes to cross 3 blocks, climb 12 floors, and pretend she'd arrived on time for the most important meeting of her career at Sterling and Associates. Her new shoes, those gorgeous pumps she absolutely needed despite being broke, slipped on the wet sidewalk. The world turned upside down. And then, strong arms, expensive cologne. A solid wall of muscle wrapped in a tailored suit. "Whoa, I got you," said a deep, amused voice. Sloane blinked, meeting dark green eyes inches from hers. The face was ridiculously handsome. Chiseled jaw, perfectly tousled brown hair, the kind of smile that probably left a trail of broken hearts across Manhattan. "You can let go now," she said, trying to salvage some dignity. "I could. Question is, should I?" His smile widened. "You look like the type who will fall again." "I'm not going to." Sloane squirmed and he released her. Her feet touched the ground. "See perfectly." "Ow." She wobbled. He caught her again, this time pulling her against his chest. The position was, well, it was basically a hug. A public hug with a stranger who was way too attractive for anyone's good. "You were saying?" "That raised eyebrow should be illegal. My shoes are new." "Okay, I just need to flash." They both froze. Across the street, a woman in her 60 seconds held up an iPhone, grinning like she just won the lottery. "How beautiful," she shouted. "Just posted it on Instagram. True love, perfect couple. Catch NYC." "Wait, what?" Sloane tried to pull away, but Stumble McHandsome, because she didn't know his name, held her firmly. "Don't move," he murmured. "If you fall again in front of that woman, she'll think it's a dramatic love declaration. Let me go. You're wearing killer heels on a wet sidewalk. I'm basically a hero." Sloane pushed him and immediately felt her ankle twist. She hissed in pain. "Okay, that was impressively stubborn," he said, but his voice had changed, less playful, more concerned. "You all right?" "Great. Perfect. Never been better." She tried to take a step and groaned. "Darn it," he sighed. "Where do you need to go?" "Sterling Building." "There." She pointed 2 blocks ahead. "Of course it is. Because the universe loves a good irony." "What does that mean?" "Means I work there." He draped her arm over his shoulders, supporting her weight. "Come on. And try not to sue me for the rescue. I didn't ask to be rescued. Technically, gravity asked on your behalf." They started walking. "Well," he walked. She limped heroically, and Sloane noticed people were staring, some smiling. A teenager pointed her phone at them. "People are taking pictures," she hissed. "Welcome to New York City, where your public humiliation comes with documentation. This isn't funny. Little bit funny. Not funny at all. You literally fell into a stranger's arms like a cheap rom-com." I stumbled. "There's a difference." "Right. One's intentional. The other's just pathetic." Sloane elbowed him. He laughed. They reached the Sterling Building lobby, and Sloane had never been so relieved to see revolving doors in her life. She pulled away from him, testing her ankle. It hurt, but manageable. "Thanks," she said reluctantly, "for the unsolicited rescue." "You're welcome for the unappreciated rescue." He smiled. "Try not to fall any more today, okay? My heroism has limits. Don't worry. I'll avoid you like the plague." "Great plan." "Sterling has what, 12 floors? Should be easy." She rolled her eyes and entered the revolving doors. Through the glass, she saw him check his phone and freeze. His face went pale. Weird, but Sloane had a meeting in 2 minutes. No time for handsome strangers and their drama. The meeting was a disaster. Not her fault. Her pitch about the new social media campaign was flawless. The problem was her boss, Richard Sterling, spent the entire meeting staring at his phone with an increasingly confused expression. "Sloane," he said when she finished, "are you engaged?" The world stopped. "Excuse me." "What?" He turned the iPad screen toward her. Instagram. The photo, her in his arms looking up, him looking down. The morning light creating a kind of cinematic halo. The caption read, "Just witnessed the most beautiful proposal of my life." He knelt on the wet sidewalk. She cried. Love still exists. Proposal goals. True love. This has 50,000 likes, Richard said slowly. I am not engaged. Then why is Twitter calling you couple of the year? Sloane grabbed her phone. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. The photo was everywhere. Someone had made a compilation with romantic soundtrack. Another person created fan art. There was even a thread speculating about the wedding date. This is a nightmare, she murmured. Actually, Richard leaned forward. This is an opportunity. How so? You know, we're competing for the Forever Weddings account. Sloane nodded slowly. Forever Weddings was the luxury wedding planning company. Landing that account would be Sterling and Associates' biggest contract in 5 years. They want authenticity, real romance. And you just went viral as the internet's most adorable bride-to-be. He smiled. The pitch is tomorrow. Imagine the advantage if you show up with your fiancé. I don't have a fiancé, but the internet thinks you do. Richard shrugged. Look, I know it's unorthodox, but think about it. One pitch, one meeting. You and photo guy pretend for a few hours, we land the contract. Everyone moves on. This is insane. This is marketing. Sloane opened her mouth to argue, but her phone buzzed. One notification, then another, and another. Her Instagram had gained 20,000 followers in 1 hour. Her email was flooded. Journalists requesting interviews, brands wanting to send gifts, a morning show inviting the viral couple for an interview. Oh no, she whispered. The conference room door opened. Jessica from reception stuck her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but there's a guy downstairs making a scene. Says he needs to talk to Sloane urgently. Something about damage control. Sloane's stomach sank. What's he look like? Tall, dark, handsome. Looks annoyed and familiar. Jessica's eyes widened. Wait. It's the guy from the photo. Your fiancé. He's not my... But Jessica had already left, probably to spread the news throughout the office. Richard smiled. Seems like fate is making your decision easier. I'm not doing this. Sloane, do you want the promotion or not? She did desperately. 3 years at Sterling, working twice as hard, being passed over for promotions because she didn't have enough presence. And now suddenly she had all the presents. Just one meeting? She asked, hating herself. Just one. Sloane took a deep breath. Fine, but I'm talking to him alone. She left the room, took the elevator down, and there he was. Standing in the lobby, a crowd of Sterling employees casually passing by just to stare. When he saw her, his face went through several expressions. Relief, anger, and something that looked like panic. We need to talk, they said simultaneously, and Sloane knew with absolute certainty that her day was about to get much worse. They ended up in the small conference room on the 3rd floor. Neutral territory, as Sloane called it. Far enough from her department that nobody would eavesdrop, but public enough that she wouldn't be alone with a complete stranger. A complete stranger who was currently pacing like a caged tiger while checking his phone every 5 seconds. Okay, Sloane said, closing the door. You first. Who are you? And why do you look like you're about to have a panic attack? He stopped pacing and looked at her, really looked at her. Those green eyes were more intense up close, and Sloane felt something flip in her stomach. Stop it. He's part of a problem, not a solution. Crew Dalton, he said finally. Senior account manager. Been here 2 years. Crew. Sloane blinked. That's actually your name. Family name. My grandfather was a sailing champion. Long story. He rubbed his face, and I'm having a panic attack, because exactly. He checked his phone. 4 hours I have a pitch meeting with Maxwell Industries. The tech giant Maxwell Industries, the very same biggest potential client this agency has seen in a decade. He showed her his phone, the same photo, him and Sloan. 50,000 likes had become 200,000. And their CEO, Patricia Maxwell, just texted me congratulations on my engagement. Sloan sat down heavily. You're kidding. I wish. Patricia is old-school family values. She only works with people she trusts, and apparently she thinks a man who proposes on a rainy New York sidewalk is the kind of authentic person Maxwell Industries needs. He made air quotes with obvious frustration. So, let me get this straight. Sloan crossed her arms. I need you to pretend to be my fiancé for Forever Weddings tomorrow. And you need me to pretend to be your fiancé for Maxwell Industries today. In 4 hours. In 4 hours. They stared at each other. This is ridiculous. Sloan said, completely insane. Crew agreed. We don't even know each other. I didn't even know your name until I asked Jessica downstairs. I called you Stumble McHandsome in my head. Crew's lips twitched. That's actually pretty good. Don't let it go to your head. He sat down across from her, leaning forward. Look, I know this is weird. Trust me. If I could think of any other way. He ran a hand through his hair, messing it up even more. This Maxwell account is everything. It's the promotion I've been working toward. It's finally proving to my father that He stopped abruptly. That you what? Nothing. Forget it. He straightened. The point is we're both in the same boat. We both need this to work. Sloan studied him. There was something underneath all that confident swagger. Something vulnerable he was trying to hide. She recognized it because she saw the same thing in the mirror every morning. Fine, she heard herself say. But we need rules. Rules? Okay, I can work with rules. Sloan grabbed a notepad from the table. Rule number 1, this is strictly business. No actual feelings, no drama, no complications. Agreed. Crew nodded. Rule 2. We keep our stories straight. When did we meet? How long have we been together? 6 months. Sloan said immediately. Long enough to be serious. Short enough that nobody expects us to know everything about each other. Smart. How did we meet? Coffee shop. Classic. Believable. Boring enough that people won't ask too many questions. Which coffee shop? Sloan thought fast. The Blue Roast on Madison. I spilled coffee on you. You were surprisingly nice about it. We got to talking. I like it. It's got that meet-cute energy. Crew was actually smiling now. Rule 3. We need to know basic facts about each other. Favorites, family, that kind of thing. Fine. You go first. Okay. I'm 29, originally from Boston. 1 sister, younger, pain in my neck. But I love her. Father's a lawyer. Wanted me to follow in his footsteps. We don't talk much about it. Favorite food is pizza. That's not a personality trait. Everyone loves pizza. Give me specifically pepperoni and jalapeno pizza from Tony's in Brooklyn. I run in the mornings because I hate gyms. I have a weird obsession with true crime podcasts and He hesitated. I'm really bad at commitment. The last part came out quieter, more honest. Sloan raised an eyebrow. Good thing this is fake then. Exactly. He leaned back. Your turn. 27. Born and raised in Seattle. Moved here 3 years ago for the job. Only child. Parents are both professors. Mom teaches literature. Dad teaches history. They're basically walking encyclopedias and have extremely high expectations. She paused. I collect vintage typewriters even though I can't fix them. I stress, bake at 2 a.m., and I have a bad habit of saying yes to things I should absolutely say no to, like fake engagements. Apparently, they looked at each other and something shifted. It was still weird, still insane, but maybe it could work. Crew's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and stood up quickly. I have to prep for Maxwell. Can you meet me at the North Tower Cafe at 1? We should be seen together before the meeting. Make it look natural. Natural, right? Because everything about this is natural. Just try not to trip on the way there." Sloane threw the notepad at him. He caught it, grinning, and left. She sat alone in the conference room, wondering what she'd just agreed to. Her phone rang. "Mom." Perfect timing. "Hi, Mom." Sloane Elizabeth Mitchell. Her mother's voice could probably shatter glass. "Why am I finding out about your engagement from my book club?" "Martha showed me the photo. You're trending on Twitter." "Mom, I can explain." "You can explain why you didn't tell your own mother you were seeing someone, let alone engaged to him. Who is he? What does he do? How did you meet? When's the wedding?" This was going to be a long conversation. At exactly 1 p.m., Sloane walked into the North Tower Cafe, wearing the most casual but pulled-together outfit she could manage. White blouse, dark jeans, heels she could actually walk in. Crew was already there, sitting at a corner table, looking unfairly good in a navy sweater that should be illegal. When he saw her, he stood up, and Sloane noticed people were watching them. Of course, they were watching. They were the viral couple. "Hey," he said, and his voice was different, warmer. "You look great." "You're doing the boyfriend voice already. Practice makes perfect." He pulled out her chair. "Also, there are at least 3 people filming us right now, so maybe smile." Sloane forced a smile. "This feels wrong. Think of it as acting. You're playing a role." He sat down across from her, reaching for her hand on the table. His touch was warm, slightly calloused. "Just follow my lead." "I'm not good at following." Shocking. A barista approached with 2 coffees. "On the house for the happy couple." She was beaming. "We all saw the video. It's so romantic." Video. Sloane's smile froze. Someone filmed the whole proposal. The barista pulled out her phone. "Look, it has 3 million views." She turned the screen. Sure enough, there was video footage. Sloane stumbling. Crew catching her. The moment frozen in time from multiple angles, set to emotional music. The comments section was flooded with crying emojis and heart eyes. "Wow," Crew said, and Sloane could hear the barely controlled panic in his voice. "Right, you guys are couple goals." The barista left, still grinning. Sloane waited until she was gone. 3 million views. "This is fine." "This is not fine, Sloane." Crew squeezed her hand. "Breathe. We can handle this." "Can we?" "Because it feels like it's spiraling out of control. Then we control the spiral." He leaned closer and Sloane caught his scent again. Cedar and something citrusy. "Look at me. We're going to go to my meeting. You're going to charm Patricia Maxwell with that sharp wit of yours. And we're going to land this account. Then tomorrow you do the same with Forever Weddings. After that, we figure out how to gracefully break up in a few weeks. Easy. You make it sound simple. It is simple. We just have to not mess it up." Famous last words. His phone buzzed. He checked it and his expression shifted. Patricia's assistant just moved the meeting up. "We need to go now." They stood, and Crew kept holding her hand as they left the cafe. Outside, a small crowd had gathered. Someone asked for a selfie. Another person congratulated them. This was spiraling fast. In the lobby of the Maxwell Industries building, Crew stopped, turning to face her. "Listen. Patricia's going to ask questions. Just be yourself. The version of you that argued with me this morning. She'll love that. Be myself while pretending to be your fiancé. Got it. And one more thing." He stepped closer, his voice dropping. "If she asks about the proposal, just follow my lead." "Okay. What are you planning?" "Nothing. Probably nothing." He definitely was planning something. The elevator dinged. They stepped inside and Sloane felt her heart racing. This was it. The doors closed and Crew whispered, "By the way, you have a tell." "A tell?" "When you're nervous, you twist your ring." He glanced at her bare left hand, "which we should probably fix before we get upstairs." "We don't have a ring." The elevator climbed. 5th floor, 7th floor, 10th floor. Crew, we don't have a ring. I know. Then what? The elevator stopped. 15th floor. The doors opened. A woman in her 60 seconds stood in the hallway. Silver hair perfectly styled, sharp eyes assessing them immediately. Patricia Maxwell. Oh. She smiled. The famous couple. I've been dying to meet you both. Her gaze dropped to Sloane's hand. And where's the ring? Sloane's mind went blank. Crew laughed. Actually laughed. Funny story about that. And Sloane knew with absolute certainty that whatever came out of his mouth next was going to make everything infinitely more complicated. Funny story about that, Crew said, his hand finding the small of Sloane's back. The proposal was so spontaneous that I didn't have the ring with me. Patricia's perfectly shaped eyebrow arched. Spontaneous? Completely unplanned. Crew's smile was pure charm. I was on my way to work, saw Sloane, and just knew. Couldn't wait another second. The ring's being resized as we speak. Sloane's brain finally rebooted. It was my grandmother's, she added, surprising herself with how smoothly the lie came out. Vintage Art Deco, absolutely beautiful, but slightly too small. How romantic. Patricia's expression softened. My late husband proposed to me without a ring too. Borrowed a twist tie from a bread bag in a pinch. She laughed at the memory. Come, let's talk in my office. I want to hear everything. They followed her down a hallway lined with modern art and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Crew's hand stayed on Sloane's back, warm and steady, and she tried not to think about how natural it felt. Patricia's office was stunning, minimalist, powerful, with a view that probably cost more than Sloane's annual salary. The older woman gestured to a cream sofa. Please sit. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water? We're fine, thank you, Crew said. And Sloane noticed how he positioned himself slightly closer to her than strictly necessary. Their thighs were almost touching. Patricia sat across from them, crossing her legs. So, I've reviewed your proposal for the Maxwell Digital Transformation Project, Crew. Impressive work. But I'll be honest, I was on the fence about Sterling and Associates. Sloane felt Crew tense beside her. And then I saw that photo this morning, Patricia continued. And the video. Do you know what struck me? What's that? Crew asked. Authenticity. In my 40 years in business, I've learned to spot phonies from a mile away. People who put on masks, say what they think I want to hear. She leaned forward. But that moment on the sidewalk, that was real. Raw. A man who sees something he wants and goes after it. Consequences be damned. If only she knew the irony. That's the kind of bold thinking Maxwell Industries needs, Patricia said. Someone who doesn't just follow the playbook, but rewrites it. She smiled at Sloane. And you, dear. The way you looked at him in that video, like he was both the best and worst thing that ever happened to you. Sloane nearly choked. That's remarkably accurate. Crew coughed to cover a laugh. How long have you two been together? Patricia asked. 6 months, they said, in unison. Perfect synchronization. Gold star for preparation. And how did you meet? Coffee shop, Sloane said. I spilled a latte all over his very expensive suit. She was mortified, Crew added. And when Sloane glanced at him, his eyes were twinkling. Kept apologizing. Offered to pay for dry cleaning. I asked her to dinner instead. And you said yes. Patricia looked at Sloane. Not immediately. I thought he was just being polite. Sloane felt herself getting into the story. He had to ask 3 times. 4. Crew corrected softly. You made me work for it. The way he said it. The way he was looking at her. It felt too real, too intimate. Sloane's heart did a weird, skippy thing she absolutely did not have time for. Patricia was practically glowing. This is exactly what I needed to see. Maxwell Industries isn't just about technology. It's about people, connections, real relationships. She stood, extending her hand to Crew. Congratulations, Mr. Dalton. You've got the account. Crew stood so fast he nearly knocked over the coffee table. Really? Really? I'll have my lawyers draw up the contract by end of week. Patricia shook Sloane's hand too. And congratulations to you both. I expect a wedding invitation. Absolutely. Sloane heard herself say. Wouldn't dream of getting married without you there. What was she saying? They floated out of the office. Or rather, Crew floated, and Sloane stumbled along in a daze. The moment the elevator doors closed, Crew let out a whoop that echoed in the small space. We did it. Can you believe? He turned to her, and whatever he saw on her face made him pause. What's wrong? Wedding invitation? Are you kidding me? You said that. Not me. Because you were making up stories about asking me out 4 times. I was improvising. That's what you do in these situations. These situations? Sloane's voice went up an octave. How many fake engagements have you been in? This is my first, obviously, but she expects a wedding invitation, Crew. A wedding invitation. The elevator dinged. Ground floor. They stepped out into the lobby and Crew grabbed her elbow, steering her toward a quiet corner. Okay, breathe. We'll figure this out. How? How exactly do we figure out a wedding invitation to a wedding that doesn't exist? We have time. Months. By then, we'll have gracefully broken up. Patricia will be so invested in the Maxwell account that she won't care. Won't care. Did you see her face? She's already picking out flower arrangements. You're catastrophizing. I'm being realistic. They were standing very close now. Almost nose to nose. Both breathing hard. A security guard walked by and smiled knowingly. Crew ran his hand through his hair. Look, tomorrow's your forever weddings pitch, right? Right. So, we focus on that. One crisis at a time. We'll deal with Patricia and the wedding invitation later. Later, Sloane repeated. Sure. Because nothing about this could possibly get more complicated. Her phone buzzed, then buzzed again and again. She pulled it out. Texts. Dozens of them. From Jessica. Oh my God. You're in page 6. From her college roommate, Sloane. When were you going to tell me? From her dad. Your mother is hyperventilating. Please call. And then she saw it. The page 6 article. Viral proposal. Couple revealed. Meet Sloane Mitchell and Crew Dalton, NYC's newest power couple. There were photos, multiple photos. Them leaving the cafe holding hands. Them entering the Maxwell building. A quote from someone claiming to be Crew's neighbor saying he was definitely the marrying type. We're in page 6, Sloane said numbly. Crew looked at his phone. We're also on E! News and People magazine just requested an interview. They stared at each other. This is fine, Crew said. Stop saying that, Sloane. No. Listen to me. This morning I was a nobody. A junior account manager who couldn't get promoted to save her life. Now I'm on page 6. Lying to tech moguls and apparently planning a wedding to someone whose favorite pizza topping I learned 3 hours ago. Pepperoni and jalapeno, Crew said quietly. What? My favorite pizza? You remembered. Sloane's anger deflated slightly. That's not the point. I know, but you still remembered. He stepped closer, his voice gentler. Look, I know this is out of control. I know it's terrifying, but we're in it together now. And for what it's worth, you were amazing up there with Patricia. I lied through my teeth. So did I. We make a good team. His smile was crooked, almost shy. Even if we're a disaster, especially because we're a disaster. Sloane's phone rang. Richard Sterling. She answered, Hi, Richard. Sloane, fantastic news. Forever Weddings saw the page 6 article. They moved tomorrow's pitch to tonight, 7 p.m., and they specifically requested that your fiancé join us. Tonight? Tonight. This is it. Sloane. Your big moment. Don't screw it up. He hung up. Sloane lowered the phone slowly. The Forever Weddings pitch is tonight. Tonight. As in 5 hours. Crew checked his watch. Okay, okay, we can do this. What do you need from me? I need you to be my perfect, supportive, wedding-obsessed fiancé in front of the most prestigious wedding planning company in New York. Wedding-obsessed. They plan weddings. Crew, they're going to ask questions. A lot of questions. Right? Okay. What kind of questions? Venue preferences, guest list size, wedding colors, first dance song, cake flavors. With each word, Sloane felt the panic rising again. We know nothing. We've prepared nothing. They're going to see right through us. Then we prepare now. In 5 hours, people have planned actual weddings in less time. Crew grabbed her hand. Come on. I know a place. Where are we going to plan our fake wedding? He pulled her toward the street, and Sloane had the distinct feeling she was either about to pull off the greatest performance of her life or crash and burn spectacularly. Possibly both. To plan our fake wedding turned out to mean the New York Public Library. A library? Sloane stared at the iconic building with its stone lions. You brought me to a library? Trust me. Crew led her up the steps. Quiet. Free Wi-Fi. Nobody will bother us. And they have an entire section on wedding planning. There's a wedding planning section. It's New York. There's a section for everything. 20 minutes later, they were tucked into a corner table surrounded by wedding magazines, planning guides, and 2 overpriced lattes from the cafe. Okay. Crew opened a notebook. Let's start with the basics. What kind of wedding do you want? I don't want a wedding. The wedding is fake. But what kind would Sloane Mitchell want if this were real? Sloane opened her mouth to deflect, then stopped. Actually thought about it. Small, she said finally. Intimate. Maybe 50 people max. Somewhere with character, not some generic ballroom. Good food, great music. None of that stuffy formal nonsense. Crew was writing. Location. I don't know, a garden or a bookstore. Wouldn't that be cool? Getting married surrounded by books. That's actually really cool. He looked up and something in his expression had softened. What else? Wild flowers instead of roses, a jazz band for the reception, and cake. She grabbed one of the magazines, flipping through this. Lemon cake with elderflower frosting. Simple but elegant. You've thought about this. Every woman's thought about her wedding at some point. Doesn't mean anything. I didn't say it did, but he was smiling. What about colors? Sage, green, and gold. Not that awful school bus yellow, but like warm gold. Candlelight gold. Crew kept writing, and Sloane found herself leaning over to see. His handwriting was surprisingly neat. What about you? She asked. What kind of wedding would Crew Dalton want? I haven't really thought about it. Liar. Everyone's thought about it. He was quiet for a moment, pen hovering over paper. Sunset, he said finally. Outdoors somewhere you can see the ocean. Nothing too fancy, just people you actually care about. And the first dance he stopped. What? It's stupid. Tell me anyway. I always thought it would be to The Way You Look Tonight. Frank Sinatra version. My parents danced to it at their wedding before everything got complicated. Sloane's chest tightened. That's not stupid. It's sentimental. It's sweet. Their eyes met across the table. And for a second, just a second, Sloane forgot this was fake. Forgot about the lies and the viral photos and the impossible situation. It just felt like 2 people getting to know each other. Crew cleared his throat, breaking the moment. Anyway, we should probably pick something more mainstream. Forever weddings will expect. No, Sloane interrupted. Use The Way You Look Tonight. It's perfect. You sure? I'm sure. They spent the next 3 hours building their fake wedding. Every detail, every answer they might need. The venue, a botanical garden upstate, the date, next October, the guest list, intimate family and close friends. They even picked out a fictional wedding party. Crew's sister as maid of honor, Sloane's college roommate as bridesmaid. By the time Cru's alarm went off, they had a complete wedding plan. A fake wedding plan that felt surprisingly dangerously real. "We should go," Cru said, checking his watch. "Traffic's going to be murder." They gathered their notes, and as they stood, Sloane stumbled slightly. Cru caught her elbow. "Steady there. Can't have you falling again." "Ha ha." But he didn't let go right away, and neither did she. Outside the library, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. The city was doing its magical hour thing where even the dirt and noise looked romantic. "You ready?" Cru asked. "No, but let's do it anyway." He smiled and took her hand, and they walked toward Forever Weddings like they were walking toward their actual future. Sloane tried not to think about how much she wished it were real. Forever Weddings occupied the penthouse suite of a glass tower in Midtown, and walking in felt like entering a fairy tale designed by someone with unlimited budget and impeccable taste. Crystal chandeliers, white marble floors, flowers everywhere, roses, peonies, orchids arranged in cascading displays that probably cost more than Sloane's car. "This is intimidating," she whispered to Cru as they waited in the lobby. "You've got this." He squeezed her hand. "Just remember the botanical garden next October. 50 guests. Sage, green, and gold. Frank Sinatra." "I know. And we're completely in love." The words felt strange in her mouth. "Dangerous. Miss Mitchell. Mr. Dalton." A woman in her 30 seconds approached, clipboard in hand, smile professionally warm. "I'm Andrea Chen, head of client relations. Welcome to Forever Weddings. Everyone's so excited to meet you both." "Everyone?" Sloane asked. "Oh, yes. The whole team wanted to sit in on this pitch." Andrea led them down a hallway lined with photos of stunning weddings. "When we saw you'd gone viral, well, we knew Sterling and Associates was the right choice for our new campaign. You're exactly the kind of authentic love story we want to celebrate." Cru's hand tightened on Sloane's. They entered a conference room and Sloane's stomach dropped. There weren't 3 people waiting. There were 12. 12 people all turning to look at them, with expressions ranging from curious to absolutely delighted. "Everyone," Andrea announced. "Meet Sloane and Cru, our viral lovebirds." Applause. Actual applause. Sloane wanted to melt into the floor. At the head of the table sat a woman in her 50 seconds, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, wearing a dress that screamed expensive. "Caroline Winters," she introduced herself, standing to shake their hands. "Founder and CEO of Forever Weddings. I've been planning weddings for 30 years, and I can spot genuine love from a mile away." She smiled. "You too have it." "Thank you." Sloane managed. "Please sit. We're dying to hear everything." Caroline gestured to 2 seats at the center of the table. "But first, Richard, let's hear this pitch." Richard Sterling was already there, looking like he'd won the lottery. He launched into the presentation. Sterling and Associates' vision for Forever Weddings' new digital campaign, using real couples, authentic stories, emotional connection. Sloane barely heard it. She was too busy feeling 12 pairs of eyes watching her and Cru. Cru's thumb was drawing small circles on the back of her hand. Soothing. Steady. When Richard finished, Caroline nodded approvingly. "Excellent. But I want to hear from the couple themselves." She turned to Sloane and Cru. "Tell us your story, and please don't leave out any details. We want to feature you as the face of our new campaign. The kickoff couple, if you will. Face of the campaign." Sloane's brain short-circuited. Cru jumped in smoothly. "Well, like most great love stories, ours started with a disaster." Laughter rippled through the room. "Sloane spilled an entire latte on me at the Blue Roast," he continued, and Sloane marveled at how easily he lied. She was mortified, kept apologizing, offering to pay for dry cleaning. I took one look at her and thought, I'm going to marry this woman. "Love at first sight," Andrea sighed. "More like love at first coffee stain." Cru grinned. "But yeah, I knew. And you, Sloane." Caroline leaned forward. When did you know? The room went silent. Sloane's mind raced. What would make them believe? What felt true enough to sell? She looked at Crew and the words came before she could stop them. The fourth date, she said softly. We went to Central Park. It was raining, typical New York spring rain, and we were supposed to go to some fancy restaurant, but Crew suggested we just walk instead. She was making this up, but somehow it felt real. Everyone else was running for cover, but we just walked, talked, got completely soaked. She smiled at the memory that never happened, and at some point, he said something. I don't even remember what, but it made me laugh so hard I snorted, which is mortifying, by the way. I loved it, Crew said, and his voice was so genuine it hurt. And he looked at me, Sloane continued, like I was the best thing he'd ever seen, not despite the snorting or the wet hair or the ruined dress, because of it, like he saw me, the real me, and didn't want to look away. She paused. That's when I knew. The room was dead silent. Then someone sniffled. Andrea was dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. That's beautiful, Caroline said, and her own voice was slightly thick. That's exactly the kind of story we want to tell. Real, imperfect, human. So, about the campaign, Richard interjected, clearly sensing momentum. We'd feature Sloane and Crew's journey from engagement to wedding. Behind-the-scenes content, planning sessions, the whole 9 yards. Authentic storytelling that showcases Forever Wedding's expertise. Their actual wedding, Caroline's eyes lit up. You'd let us plan and document your wedding. Oh no. We'd be honored, Crew said, and Sloane felt him tense beside her. Wonderful. We should discuss details. When's the date? October. Sloane said next year. Venue, Riverside Botanical Gardens. Crew supplied. Upstate. Guest count 50, give or take. Color scheme, sage green and gold. They were nailing this. Every answer perfect, every detail matching. Caroline was beaming. Have you chosen your first dance song? The Way You Look Tonight? They said simultaneously. The room practically melted. Frank Sinatra, an older woman at the end of the table, pressed her hand to her chest. That was my wedding song. It's perfect, Caroline declared. Classic, romantic, timeless. You two are absolutely perfect, she stood. Richard, I'll be honest. We were considering 3 agencies for this campaign, but after meeting Sloane and Crew, she smiled. There's no competition, and the account is yours. Richard looked like he might pass out from joy. Thank you, Caroline. You won't regret this. I know we won't. Caroline turned back to them. Now, I insist, you both stay for champagne. We need to celebrate. Before Sloane could protest, staff appeared with glasses of champagne and trays of hors d'oeuvres. The team members crowded around, everyone wanting to talk to them, ask questions, hear more stories. Crew kept his arm around Sloane's waist, solid and warm, and she found herself leaning into him, not because people were watching, but because she needed the support. This was too much, too big, too real. When did he propose? Someone asked. This morning, Crew laughed. Completely spontaneous. I couldn't wait any longer. Do you have the ring yet? Being resized, Sloane said quickly. Family heirloom. How did your families react? My mother's already planning the rehearsal dinner, Sloane said, which was actually true. Her mom had left 6 voicemails about exactly that. The questions kept coming. They kept answering. Their story grew more detailed with every telling. The coffee shop meet cute, the rainy 4th date, the proposal that went viral. It was a perfect performance. And that's what scared Sloane, because somewhere between the library and this moment, the line between performance and reality had started to blur. An hour later, they finally escaped, stepping out into the cool night air. Sloane took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. We did it, Crew said. And he sounded slightly dazed. We actually pulled it off. Face of the campaign. Sloane repeated. They want to document our actual wedding, which we'll plan and then gracefully cancel closer to the date. Family emergency or something? A family emergency that cancels a wedding they're planning and documenting? Crew rubbed his face. Okay. Yeah, that's a problem. You think? They started walking. No particular destination. Just moving because standing still felt impossible. The rainy fourth date story, Crew said after a moment. That was good. Really good. Made it up on the spot. I know, but it felt... He trailed off. Real. Sloane finished. Yeah. They walked in silence for a block. The city hummed around them. Cars honking. People laughing. The distant wail of a siren. Normal New York sounds, but nothing felt normal. Can I ask you something? Crew's voice was careful. The way you described that moment when you knew, have you ever actually felt that? Sloane thought about lying. Would be easier. Safer. Once, she admitted. College. His name was Daniel. We dated for 2 years. I thought he was it, you know, the one. She laughed, but it came out bitter. Turns out he'd been seeing someone else for 6 months. When I found out, he told me I was too much, too ambitious, too driven, too focused on my career. He was an idiot. Maybe. Or maybe he was right. Maybe I am too much. Crew stopped walking. Turned to face her. Sloane, look at me. She did. You're not too much. You're exactly right. Any guy who can't see that doesn't deserve you. The street light caught his face, highlighting the sharp angle of his jaw, the intensity in his eyes. He meant it. She could tell. What about you? She asked softly. You said you're bad at commitment. Why? His jaw tightened. My parents got divorced when I was 15. Messy, ugly divorce. My dad cheated. My mom fell apart. And I got to watch the whole thing implode. He shoved his hands in his pockets. I watched my dad promise forever and break it without blinking. Watched my mom believe in happily ever after and get destroyed. And I learned that love, he paused. Love is just a story we tell ourselves until reality shows up. That's sad. That's realistic. Maybe. Or maybe you just haven't met the right person yet. Maybe the right person doesn't exist. You don't really believe that, don't I? They stared at each other and something shifted in the air between them. Something dangerous and electric and absolutely terrifying. Crew's phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He checked it, and his expression changed. You've got to be kidding me. What? He showed her the screen. A text from an unknown number. Saw you on the news. Congratulations, little brother. Can't wait to meet your fiancée. I'm coming to visit tomorrow. Ivy, your sister, Sloane said. My very nosy, very opinionated, extremely perceptive sister who will see through this charade in about 30 seconds. Tomorrow? Tomorrow. They looked at each other. This is fine, Sloane said. Stop saying that. But they both started laughing, slightly hysterical, completely overwhelmed laughter that echoed down the empty street. When they finally stopped, Crew was wiping his eyes. Okay, game plan. Ivy arrives tomorrow. We just have to convince her we're actually in love. Just that simple. Just that impossible. He smiled crookedly. But hey, we fooled everyone else. What's one more person? Your sister who knows you better than anyone. Minor detail. Sloane's phone rang. Her mother again. She declined it. My parents want to meet you, too. Of course they do. My mom's already asking about premarital counseling. Premarital? We're not even actually engaged. Try telling her that. They started walking again, and somehow their hands found each other, fingers intertwining naturally like they'd done this 1,000 times. Crew. Yeah. That story you told about knowing you wanted to marry me at the coffee shop. Did you? She hesitated. Did any part of you mean it? He was quiet for a long moment. Too long. I don't know, he said finally, and his voice was almost a whisper. And that's what scares me. Sloane's heart did that stupid skippy thing again. They reached her apartment building, stood there on the sidewalk, neither wanting to let go first. "Tomorrow," Crew said, 10 a.m., "I'll pick you up. We'll grab coffee and game plan before Ivy gets here." "Okay. And Sloan?" "Yeah. That thing Daniel said about you being too much." Crew stepped closer. "He was wrong. You're not too much. You're just right." He kissed her cheek. Quick, soft, probably just for show in case anyone was watching. But it felt like so much more. Then he was gone, walking down the street, and Sloan stood there touching her cheek like a complete fool. Inside her apartment, she collapsed on the couch, her mind spinning. 2 days ago, she was invisible. Now she was viral, engaged, lying to everyone, and developing very real, very dangerous feelings for a man who didn't believe in love. Her phone buzzed. A text from Crew. "Thanks for today. You were amazing. See you tomorrow." She smiled, typing back, "You too. See you tomorrow." Then another text. "P.S. I wasn't lying about the cheek kiss, just so you know." Sloan stared at the message, her heart racing. Oh no. Oh no. 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 This was supposed to be fake. A performance. A business arrangement. So why did it feel like the realest thing in her life? Sloan woke up to 73 text messages, 14 missed calls, and a profound sense of dread. The text messages were from everyone she'd ever known. High school friends, distant cousins, that girl from hot yoga class she'd talked to exactly once. All variations of, "Oh my God, congrats," and "Why didn't you tell me?" and "Can I be invited to the wedding?" The missed calls were mostly from her mother, and the dread, that was all about meeting Crew's sister in approximately 2 hours. She was standing in front of her closet trying to decide what one wears to meet your fake fiancé's family when her doorbell rang. 10 a.m. on the dot. Sloan opened the door to find Crew holding 2 coffees and looking unfairly good in dark jeans and a gray Henley. "Morning, fiancé," he said, handing her a cup. "Too early for jokes." "It's never too early for jokes." He stepped inside, and Sloan was suddenly aware of how small her apartment was, how intimate it felt with him in it. "You ready for this?" "Not even a little bit." She took a sip of coffee. "Perfect. 1 sugar splash of cream." "How did you know how I take my coffee?" "I pay attention." His eyes met hers, and there was that intensity again. The thing that made her heart forget how to beat properly. "Right. Paying attention because we're selling a performance." "Right. Performance." But neither of them moved. Her phone buzzed, breaking the moment. A text from an unknown number. "Hi, it's Ivy. Landing in an hour. Can't wait to meet the woman who finally got my brother to commit. See you soon." "She uses a lot of exclamation points," Sloan observed. "She uses a lot of everything." Crew ran his hand through his hair. "Okay. Things you need to know about my sister. She's 26, works in graphic design, has opinions about everything, and can read people like most people read books. She will ask invasive questions. She will not accept surface-level answers. And she absolutely will not believe we're in love unless we sell it. No pressure. Exactly 0 pressure." He was pacing. "Now, also, she knows I don't do relationships, so the fact that I'm suddenly engaged is going to raise every red flag she has." "Great. Anything else?" "She's protective. When our parents divorced, I kind of raised her, made sure she was okay, got her through high school, paid for her design courses." His voice softened. "She's the most important person in my life, which means if she doesn't buy this, the whole thing falls apart." Sloan set down her coffee. "Crew, look at me." He stopped pacing. "We've convinced a tech mogul and an entire wedding planning company. We can convince your sister. You don't know Ivy. Then tell me about her. Really? Tell me. What does she love? What makes her laugh? What would make her believe you'd fall for someone?" Crew was quiet for a moment, studying her. "You're good at this." "At what?" "Caring. Really seeing people." He moved closer. Ivy loves terrible reality TV. She cries at dog videos. She thinks pineapple on pizza is a crime against humanity. And she will fight anyone who disagrees. Noted. No pineapple pizza. She wants me to be happy. Really happy. Not just successful or accomplished, but genuinely happy. His voice dropped. I haven't been. Not in a long time. And she knows it. So, we show her you're happy now. Are we? The question hung in the air between them. I don't know, Sloane admitted. But I know I'm not pretending anymore when I laugh at your jokes or when you hold my hand. Or when you... She stopped herself. When I what? Nothing. Sloane. When you look at me like you're looking at me right now. The air in the apartment felt too thin. Crew's phone rang, shattering the moment. He checked it and grimaced. She's early. Ivy's early. She's at the Bean Cafe and wants us to meet her there now. Now as in we have 10 minutes. Sloane grabbed her purse, her coat, mentally preparing herself for the performance of a lifetime. They were almost out the door when Crew caught her arm. Hey, whatever happens today, I just want you to know. He paused. I'm really glad you fell into my arms that morning. Sloane's heart did a full somersault. Even though it ruined both our lives? Especially because of that. The Bean Cafe was crowded with the Saturday morning rush. Families, couples, students with laptops. Sloane spotted her immediately. Ivy Dalton looked like a pixie-cut version of her brother. Same green eyes, same sharp features, but with purple-streaked hair and about 15 ear piercings. She was sitting at a corner table, and when she saw them, her face lit up. Crew. She launched herself at her brother, nearly knocking over 3 chairs in the process. Crew caught her laughing. Hey, Sprout. Don't call me Sprout. I'm 26. But she was grinning. Then she turned to Sloane, and those green eyes went assessing, calculating. And you must be Sloane. Hi. Sloane extended her hand. Ivy ignored it, and pulled her into a hug instead. We're family now. We hug. Oh, okay. When Ivy pulled back, she was studying Sloane's face with unnerving intensity. Wow, you're really pretty. Like, intimidatingly pretty. Thank you. I'm just surprised. Crew usually dates models. You know, the emotionally unavailable Instagram type. She turned to her brother. No offense. Some taken, Crew said dryly. They sat, and a waiter appeared immediately. After ordering, Ivy got a latte with oat milk and 2 extra shots because long flight, desperate times. She leaned forward, chin in her hands. So, tell me everything, and I mean everything. What do you want to know? Crew asked. Oh, I don't know. Maybe how my commitment-phobic brother, who swore he'd never get married, suddenly got engaged to someone I've never heard him mention in a viral proposal that's currently trending on TikTok. It was spontaneous, Sloane said clearly. But spontaneous doesn't explain 6 months of dating I knew nothing about. Crew shifted. I wanted to keep it private. You kept her a secret, you mean? I didn't. Did you meet the parents? Ivy asked Sloane. Not yet. Interesting, because usually when someone's serious about someone, they introduce them to their family. This was going bad fast. Crew wanted to wait until he was sure. Sloane interjected. After his parents' divorce, he has trust issues. I know about the trust issues. I lived through the divorce, too. Ivy's voice had an edge now. What I don't know is why my brother, who ghosted his last 3 girlfriends when they mentioned the word relationship, suddenly proposed to someone on a public sidewalk, because I love her. The cafe noise seemed to dim. Crew was looking at Sloane, and the expression on his face was so genuine, so raw that for a second she forgot Ivy was there. I know it seems fast, he continued, still looking at Sloane. And I know I've been scared, but when you meet someone who makes you want to be better than you are, someone who sees past all the walls you've built, you don't let that go. You grab on and don't let go, even if it terrifies you. Sloane couldn't breathe. That's beautiful, Ivy said. And when Sloane managed to look at her, The younger woman's eyes were slightly wet. But I'm still not convinced. Ivy. Crew started. No, listen. I want you to be happy desperately, but I also know you. She pulled out her phone. This photo, this moment, it looks real, but I've seen you fake happiness before. At Dad's wedding to Barbara, at every family dinner where you pretended everything was fine. She looked between them. So, I need you to prove it. Prove what? Sloane asked. That this is real. Not a publicity stunt, not a business arrangement, not whatever scheme you two cooked up. Crew's hand found Sloane's under the table. What do you want us to do? Answer one question. Each of you. Honestly. Ivy leaned back. Sloane, you first. What's Crew's biggest fear? Sloane's mind raced. What had he told her? What had he revealed in those vulnerable moments? That he'll turn out like his father, she said quietly. That he'll make promises he can't keep and hurt the people he loves. So, he doesn't make promises at all. Doesn't let people close enough to hurt. And that terrifies him more than anything. The idea that he's already broken without even trying. Ivy's eyes widened slightly. And Crew, Ivy continued, voice softer now. What's Sloane running from? Crew didn't hesitate. The idea that she's too much, that her ambition, her drive, her refusal to settle, that it makes her unlovable. Someone told her once that she was too much, and she believed it. So, she works twice as hard, achieves twice as much, hoping that maybe if she's successful enough, accomplished enough, someone will think she's worth staying for. Sloane felt tears prickling behind her eyes. How did he know that? She'd mentioned Daniel once. Once, and he'd seen right through to the fear underneath. Ivy was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. Real, genuine, reaching her eyes. Okay, she said. I believe you. Really? Crew sounded stunned. Really? Because you can fake a lot of things, big brother, but you can't fake knowing someone that deeply. She grabbed both their hands. Plus, I've never seen you look at anyone the way you look at her. Like she's the sun and you're finally warm. Sloane's vision blurred. Now, can we please talk about wedding details? Ivy bounced in her seat. Because I have so many ideas. Have you thought about the color scheme? What about the venue? And please tell me you're not doing a traditional cake because I have this incredible designer friend who makes sculptures out of macarons. Ivy, breathe. Crew laughed. They spent the next hour planning a fake wedding that felt increasingly real. Ivy pulled up Pinterest boards, made lists, debated flowers versus succulents with a passion that was both endearing and overwhelming. And through it all, Crew kept Sloane's hand in his, thumb drawing those small circles that had become familiar, comforting, dangerous. When Ivy excused herself to the restroom, Sloane let out a breath. That was intense. That was Ivy going easy on us. Crew smiled. But we passed. You were incredible. So were you. That thing you said about being the sun. I meant it. Their eyes locked. Crew. His phone buzzed. He checked it, and his entire body went rigid. What's wrong? He showed her the screen. An email from Patricia Maxwell's assistant. Ms. Maxwell would like to invite you and your fiancé to a small engagement dinner tomorrow evening. Just close friends and family. She's very excited to celebrate your love story. Please confirm attendance. Attire formal. Tomorrow, Sloane breathed. With close friends and family, which means my dad. Crew's voice was tight. Who I haven't spoken to in 2 years. Who I specifically didn't tell about the engagement because I knew he'd show up and ruin everything. We don't have to go. Patricia's our client. We have to go. He rubbed his face. And my dad's going to take one look at us and know he's a lawyer. He makes a living reading people, finding the cracks, exploiting them. Then we don't give him any cracks. Sloane, you don't understand. He'll destroy this. He'll say something, do something, and the whole thing will fall apart. Ivy returned immediately, sensing the tension. What happened? Patricia Maxwell's throwing us an engagement party, Crew said flatly. Tomorrow Dad's going to be there. Ivy's face went pale. Oh no. What does that mean? Sloane asked. Oh no. What? Brother and sister exchanged a look. Our father, Ivy said carefully, isn't a nice man. He's charming, successful, and completely toxic. He thinks Crew's job is beneath him. He thinks love is transactional, and he will absolutely try to sabotage this. Why? Because he sabotages everything Crew does. Ivy said simply, it's his hobby. Sloane looked at Crew, saw the tension in his jaw, the hurt he was trying to hide. Then we don't let him, she said firmly. We go to this party. We're perfect. And we show him that you're happy, that you have something real. But we don't, Crew said quietly. That's the problem. None of this is real. The words hit like a punch. Because somewhere over the past few days, Sloane had started to forget that. Started to believe their own lies. Right, she said, pulling her hand away. Not real, just business. Sloane, it's fine. We should probably go. I need to find something formal to wear to a party I'm dreading. She stood, grabbing her coat. Sloane, wait. Crew caught her arm, but she pulled away. I'll see you tomorrow. Text me the details. She walked out of the cafe before he could respond. Before Ivy could say anything, before the tears threatening to fall actually did. Outside, the cold air hit her face. Not real, just business. She'd known that. Of course, she'd known that. So, why did it hurt so much to hear him say it? Her phone buzzed. A text from Crew. I'm sorry that came out wrong. Can we talk? She typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on. Nothing to talk about. See you tomorrow. Then, she silenced her phone and walked home, trying to ignore the fact that her fake engagement was starting to feel like a real heartbreak. Sloane spent Sunday morning stress baking. By noon, her apartment smelled like a bakery explosion. Chocolate chip cookies, lemon bars, a failed attempt at croissants that looked more like crimes against pastry. She was frosting cupcakes she didn't even want when her doorbell rang. Go away, Crew, she called out. It's not Crew. Sloane opened the door to find Ivy standing there holding a garment bag and looking determined. We need to talk, Ivy said, pushing past her into the apartment. Also, can I have a cookie? I skipped breakfast. Help yourself. Sloane closed the door. What are you doing here? Saving my brother from himself. Ivy grabbed 3 cookies. Also, bringing you this. She held up the garment bag. You need a dress for tonight, right? I figured we're about the same size. Ivy, he didn't mean it. What? Yesterday, when he said none of it was real, Ivy set down the cookies, her expression serious. He's terrified, Sloane. Absolutely terrified. Because it is real, and he doesn't know how to handle that. Sloane's throat tightened. You don't know that. I know my brother. I've watched him date model after model, actress after actress, never letting anyone close, never letting anyone matter. Ivy stepped closer, and then you fell into his arms and I watched him fall right back. The way he looks at you, the way he talks about you, that's not fake. That's panic. He said it wasn't real. He lied to you, to himself, probably to the universe. Ivy grabbed Sloane's hands. Look, tonight's going to be rough. Our dad is going to be his worst self. He's going to try to tear you down, tear Crew down, make everyone miserable because that's what he does. And Crew is going to be defensive and closed off because that's his armor. So, what do? You show up. You stand by him. You remind him that not everyone leaves. Ivy squeezed her hands, and maybe, just maybe, you tell him the truth. What truth? That you're in love with him, too? The words hung in the air. I'm not, Sloane started. Please. I saw how you looked when he said it wasn't real. You don't look that hurt over a business arrangement. Ivy smiled sadly. You fell for him. It's written all over your face. Sloane sank onto the couch. This is such a mess. The best things usually are. Ivy sat beside her. Now, let's get you dressed because tonight we're going to that party. You're going to look absolutely stunning, and we're going to show Marcus Dalton that his son is capable of real love, even if Crew doesn't believe it yet. Patricia Maxwell's townhouse in the Upper East Side looked like something from a movie. 5 stories of pristine brick and perfectly manicured everything. Sloane stood on the sidewalk in Ivy's borrowed dress, a deep emerald silk that hugged her curves and made her feel like someone who belonged at fancy parties. Her hands were shaking. A car pulled up. Crew stepped out, and Sloane forgot how to breathe. He was wearing a perfectly tailored black suit, white shirt, no tie. His hair was styled, but still had that tousled quality. He looked like he'd stepped off a magazine cover. When he saw her, he stopped dead. "Wow," he said softly. "You look, Ivy's dress." "That's not what I was going to say." He moved closer, and Sloane caught his scent. Cedar and citrus, and something that was just him. "You look beautiful. You always look beautiful. But tonight," he shook his head, "I'm going to have to fight every guy in there. It's fake. Remember you said so yourself." Crew flinched. "Sloane, about that. I need to explain. Mr. Dalton. Ms. Mitchell." Patricia appeared at the door, beaming. "Come in. Come in. And everyone's dying to meet you." The moment was lost. Inside the townhouse was even more impressive. High ceilings, crystal chandeliers, art that probably cost more than Sloane's college education. About 30 people milled about with champagne glasses, all turning to look as they entered. "Everyone," Patricia announced. "Meet our guests of honor, Sloane and Crew, the couple who reminded us all what true love looks like." Applause again with the applause. Crew's hand found the small of Sloane's back, and she felt him tense. "He's here," Crew whispered. 3 gray suit. Sloane looked. Marcus Dalton was tall, distinguished, with silver hair and Crew's green eyes. He was talking to a blonde woman half his age, laughing at something she said, but his gaze was fixed on Crew, calculating, cold. "Showtime," Crew murmured. They circulated through the party. Crew introducing Sloane to clients, colleagues, people whose names she immediately forgot. Everyone wanted to hear the story. Everyone had opinions about the wedding. Someone's aunt offered to make the cake. Through it all, Marcus watched. Finally, he approached. "Crew," his voice was smooth, practiced. "Congratulations are in order, I hear." "Dad." Crew's voice was flat. "Didn't expect to see you here. Patricia and I go way back. When she mentioned your engagement, I had to come see for myself." Marcus turned to Sloane, extending his hand. "Marcus Dalton, criminal defense attorney, and you must be the woman who finally trapped my son." "Trapped?" Sloane shook his hand, refusing to let him see her rattled. "Well, Crew is not exactly the marrying type. Takes after his old man." Marcus laughed, but it was sharp. "How long did you say you've been together?" 6 months, Sloane said smoothly. "Interesting. Because I had lunch with Crew 4 months ago, and he didn't mention anyone. Didn't mention you at all, actually." "I like to keep my private life private," Crew said, his jaw tight. "That's one way to put it." Marcus sipped his champagne, though, usually when someone's serious about someone, they at least mention them to family, unless there's a reason to keep it quiet. "What are you implying?" Sloane asked. "Nothing at all. Just seems convenient, that's all. You work together at Sterling. Your company just landed 2 massive accounts, and suddenly you're engaged." He smiled. "As a lawyer, I've learned to spot patterns. And this looks like a pattern." "Dad, that's enough," Crew warned. "Is it?" "Because I'm just trying to understand. Help me understand, son. What changed? You've spent years avoiding commitment like the plague, and suddenly you're proposing on a sidewalk to a colleague. What's the real story?" People were starting to stare. "The real story," Sloane said, her voice clear and strong, is that your son is the most genuine, caring, loyal person I've ever met. And maybe the reason he didn't tell you about me is because he knew you'd do exactly this. Try to tear it down instead of being happy for him. Marcus's eyes glinted. Loyal? You think Crew is loyal? I know he is. Did he tell you about Vanessa? No. Vanessa was his fiancée 3 years ago. Called off the wedding 2 weeks before. Left her at the altar, essentially. Marcus turned to Crew. Or did you conveniently forget to mention that? Sloane's stomach dropped. She looked at Crew. His face had gone white. That's different, Crew said quietly. Is it? Because from where I'm standing, you have a pattern of running when things get real. When actual commitment is required. Marcus shook his head. I give this 6 months, maybe less. You don't know anything about us, Sloane said. But her voice shook. Don't I? I know my son. He's scared of turning into me, so he doesn't commit to anything. Doesn't let anyone close. And when someone finally gets close, Marcus snapped his fingers. He runs. Always has. Always will. That's not true. Ivy's voice cut through. She appeared at Crew's side, eyes blazing. You don't get to do this. You don't get to come here and poison everything Crew's built. Ivy. Marcus started. No, you left. You cheated on Mom. You destroyed our family. And then you acted like Crew was the problem for being angry about it. Ivy's voice was shaking. He raised me. He made sure I was okay. He's been there for every important moment of my life. Where were you? Oh, right, with wife number 3. Or is it 4 now? I lose count. The room had gone silent. Marcus's expression hardened. This is family business. Then maybe you should try being family. Ivy shot back. Patricia appeared, her smile strained. Perhaps we should all take a breath. No. Crew's voice cut through, quiet but firm. He turned to Patricia. I'm sorry. I can't do this. Crew. Sloane reached for him. I can't. He looked at her, and his eyes were full of pain. I'm sorry for all of it. For dragging you into this mess. For making you lie. For his voice broke. You deserve better than this. Than me. That's not true. It is. He stepped back. My dad's right. I am like him. I make promises I can't keep. I hurt people and I can't. He shook his head. I'm sorry. And then he left. Just walked out of the party. Out of the townhouse. Leaving Sloane standing there with 30 pairs of eyes watching. The room erupted in whispers. Patricia looked devastated. Oh dear. Marcus was smirking. And Sloane. Sloane was done. Done with lies. Done with pretending. Done with watching the man she'd fallen for destroy himself because of his father's poison. You want to know the truth? She said, her voice ringing out. Fine. Here's the truth. The room went silent again. Crew and I aren't engaged. Not really. We met 3 days ago when I literally fell into his arms and someone took a photo that went viral. We panicked. We made up a story because we both had important pitches, and we thought it would help. We've been lying to everyone. To you, Patricia. To you, Caroline, to everyone here. Patricia's face went pale. Marcus laughed. Well, honesty at last. I'm not finished. Sloane turned to him. You want to know what else is true? Your son is the best man I've ever met. He's kind and funny and sees people, really sees them. He took care of his sister when you abandoned your family. He works harder than anyone I know. And yes, he's scared of commitment. But that's because he watched you destroy the concept of forever. Marcus's smirk faded. But here's the thing you don't understand. This started as a lie. A stupid, desperate lie. But somewhere along the way, Sloane's voice cracked. Somewhere along the way, I fell in love with him. Actually, genuinely, terrifyingly in love. Not with the fake engagement or the viral story, but with the man who remembers how I take my coffee, who knows my deepest fears, who looks at me like I'm not too much, but exactly right. Tears were streaming down her face now. So yeah, we lied. And yeah, I'm probably going to lose my job over this. But I won't stand here and let you make him believe he's incapable of love because he's not. He's capable of so much love, it scares him. And that's not a weakness. That's his strength. She turned to Patricia. I'm sorry we deceived you. I understand if you want to pull both accounts. I deserve that. But please, don't punish Sterling and Associates. This was our mess, mine and Crew's. Then she grabbed her coat and left, ignoring the shocked silence, ignoring Marcus's stunned expression, ignoring everything except the need to find Crew. She found him 2 blocks away, sitting on the steps of a closed bookstore, head in his hands. "Hey," she said softly. He looked up and his eyes were red. "You shouldn't be here." "Probably not. But here I am anyway." She sat beside him. "I told them the truth." "What?" "Everything. The fake engagement, the lies, all of it." She laughed shakily. "I'm pretty sure I just destroyed both our careers." "Sloan, why would you—" "Because I'm tired of lying and because your dad was wrong." She turned to face him. "You're not like him. You're nothing like him. I left Vanessa at the altar. Tell me what happened. Really happened." Crew was quiet for a long moment. "I was 26. She was perfect on paper. My dad loved her, which should have been a red flag. 2 weeks before the wedding, I realized I didn't love her. Not really. I liked her, but I didn't love her. And I couldn't stand at an altar and promise forever when I knew it was a lie." He looked at Sloan. "So I left, called it off, broke her heart, proved my dad right about me. You proved you're honest, that you won't make promises you can't keep. Or I'm just a coward." "You're not a coward. A coward would have gone through with it. You were brave enough to admit the truth." Sloan took his hand. "And for what it's worth, I meant what I said in there about falling for you." Crew's eyes widened. "Sloan, I know it's insane. We've known each other 3 days. But somewhere between the library and the coffee shop and meeting Ivy and tonight's disaster, I fell hard. And I know this was supposed to be fake, but it doesn't feel fake anymore. At least not to me." "It doesn't feel fake to me either," Crew said quietly. "That's what terrifies me. What if we stopped being terrified? What if we just tried?" "Tried what?" "This us for real this time. No lies, no performances. Just 2 people who fell for each other in the most ridiculous way possible." Crew was looking at her like she'd offered him the sun. "You want to date me for real?" "I want to fall for real next time. Maybe on purpose." "Sloan Mitchell, was that a joke?" "Possibly my first one. How'd I do?" Instead of answering, Crew kissed her. Really kissed her. Not a cheek kiss, not a performance, but a real, genuine, heart-stopping kiss that tasted like champagne and truth and new beginnings. When they finally pulled apart, they were both smiling. "So," Crew said, "we're probably unemployed now. Probably. And your parents are going to kill you. Definitely. And we have no idea how to explain this to anyone. Not a clue." Sloan laughed. "But at least we'll figure it out together." "Together?" Crew pulled her close. "I like the sound of that." They sat there on the bookstore steps, holding each other while the city hummed around them. No cameras, no audience, no performance. Just 2 people who'd accidentally found something real in the middle of a beautiful disaster. Sloane's phone buzzed. She checked it, then started laughing. "What?" She showed him the screen. A text from Patricia Maxwell. "My office tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., both of you. And bring coffee. This conversation is going to take a while." Followed by another text. "P. They are dissipation. Decide so." And that speech was the most romantic thing I've ever heard. "We're not pulling the accounts, but you 2 owe me the real love story starting now." And then one more from Caroline Winters at Forever Weddings. "I don't care if the engagement was fake. That kind of love is exactly what we want to showcase. Real, messy, honest. When's the actual first date?" We want to document everything." Crew and Sloane looked at each other. "I think we just got promoted from fake fiancés to real reality show." Sloane said, "Worth it." She kissed him again. "Absolutely worth it." Epilogue 6 months later. The Riverside Botanical Gardens were stunning in October. Sloane stood in front of the mirror adjusting her dress. Not sage green, not the one they'd planned, but a simple ivory gown that felt right. Real. "You ready?" Ivy appeared behind her. Purple hair now streaked with gold for the occasion. "Everyone's here." "Well, almost everyone." "He didn't come," Sloane said. It wasn't a question. "Marcus, no, but Crew doesn't need him." Ivy squeezed her shoulder. "He has us, and honestly, that's better." Music started. "The Way You Look Tonight." Frank Sinatra version. Sloane walked down the aisle past 50 people. Real friends, real family, real love. Her parents were crying. Richard Sterling gave her a thumbs up. Patricia Maxwell was already filming on her phone. At the end of the aisle, Crew stood in a navy suit, looking at her like she was the sun. "Hi," he said when she reached him. "Hi yourself." "You know," he whispered as the officiant began, "this is way better than the fake version. Because it's real. Because it's you." He took her hands. "I'm terrified, by the way." "Me, too." "Good. Let's be terrified together." They said their vows. Messy, honest, real. They promised to try, to communicate, to not run when things got hard. They promised forever, knowing it was scary, knowing it was worth it. When Crew kissed her, everyone cheered. And somewhere in the crowd, someone took a photo, them wrapped in each other's arms, genuinely perfectly happy. It would probably go viral again, but this time it would be